Well, happy Friday to everybody. And I hope that whatever time of day it is, either it's morning, afternoon, or evening, you've had a great day or will have a great day. So, thank you for joining me today. Today, we want to talk about it's been a little bit since I've done one of these, but we want to talk today about finding the right career mindset. And what I mean by that is adapting your approach to a variety of different ways in different stages of your career. And so we're going to go walk through that. But before we do that, I did want to give you an opportunity here to be able to download what I call the Career Mindset Calculator. And that Career Mindset Calculator is actually something you can use as we go along through our workshop today. It's a pretty basic Excel tool, but it does match the questions that we're going to be covering here today. And so while we walk through that, it's a great opportunity for you to be able to record your answers as you go along and then see at the end where your mindset is. There's two tabs on the spreadsheet if you download it. The first one is actually for people 49 and younger, and then the other is for 50 and over. And there is a reason for that, and that's because where you're at, depending on your career, is there's some different aspects to your life and different questions you need to consider. So again, this is a free resource allowed for you to just download if you want. You can get it now or you can get it later if you'd like. So let's go ahead and talk about today's agenda. So we want to, first of all, define what is a career mindset. So that's something that I think is really important that you have context to what I think is what defines a career mindset versus maybe what you think is a career mindset. And then we're going to talk about the career mindset pathway and what that means and how that applies to us in a particular stage of life that we might be in. And then we're going to talk about questioning your mindset. And that's where we walk through all of the various aspects of the mindset that you would then record those questions if you're going to use the retirement calculator to be able to, the career mindset calculator to be able to see where you're at in your own mindset. And then finally, we'll talk about any opportunities and Q&As that there might be through this. So let's start by, let's define a career mindset. So a career mindset, and I looked at a variety of different areas when I talked about this. And that is, for me, taking personal ownership of your career development. I know many of us have been in careers, or maybe you're in a job right now where you're actually battling this idea of what do I do for my next steps in my career? And in some cases, employers don't do a good job of defining that for you. And so I learned early on in my career, it's really important that you take, or that I take, personal ownership in career development. It starts with you. Don't rely on anybody else. And then the second element to that is that it's intentional, that you're just not going to decide to spend a little bit of time on it here or there, but that you're going to say, my ownership is intentional, and I'm going to have a strategy around that that's going to be able to show me progress and advancement. So that is what I deem and what I'm going to use as the basis for taking personal ownership of career development that is an intentional and tied to a strategy for growth and progress and advancement as a means to define what is a career mindset. So Let's talk about the aspects around or three categories around a career mindset. And these are different in level of importance depending on where you are at in your career mindset. So, first of all, how important is money to you as it relates to your career? Some people, that's very, very important. That's a measure to them of their success. If that's the case, that can have a lot to do with your mindset, whether you're earning enough money or not earning enough money. The second is, what is your position? So how important is your level of responsibility? Do you want to be a VP? Do you even want to be your own owner of a business? How important is the status of your title to your career mindset? To some people, it's very, very important. Title is very important. To others, they just want to be able to do a good job with whatever function that they're in right now. And then finally, time. How flexible does your career give you to do other things? And how important to that is that to you? Some people might think that that's very important for a career mindset relative to flexibility. So if someone's young and they're really focused on their career, that personal flexibility may not be important. If you're someone who is in my particular realm towards the back end of my career, flexibility could be very important as it relates to that. Then the next essence around career mindset is this balance between the personal and the professional. And we've heard this term work-life balance a lot, and I have used that a lot myself. Now, work-life balance for me is not seeking equilibrium all the time. Work-life balance is being able to be flexible when personal demands take more importance or professional demands. And it's the ability of you as an individual to be able to focus on professional when it needs to be professional, but also pivot to personal when it needs to be personal. And too many people focus all their efforts on the professional that their personal life suffers. So to me, that balance and that career mindset is finding the right flexibility and to be able to go back and forth between the two. So now I want to stop for a second and just tell you that, as you can see down below, there is an opportunity for you to download the Career Mindset Calculator right now, because we'll go through the questions that you'll see on there. Again, there's two tabs, one for 49 and less years of age and one for 49 or 50 and greater, because there's some different questions involved in each one of those. So, Ash, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And then also, thank you, Okamute. I hope I said that right. I hope that that also brings some value to you. And yes, thank you very much as well for the comments that you've said here. I hope that you can find clarity between the two. So don't be afraid to download that calculator as we work through today's session. So let's talk about the pathway of a career mindset. And that happens in four really distinct categories or areas. Age plays a role in, obviously, your mindset. Someone who's 25 is going to have a lot different attitude about their career mindset than someone who's, say, 65. Also, the arrangements. What are your life arrangements? What's your attitude? And then what are your abilities? Because someone early in their career may need to be emphasizing working on their abilities and their time to be able to grow and develop, versus someone who's in their 50s or 60s who is at the pinnacle or has most of the abilities that they need. So let's talk about this particular aspect of age. Think about this statement, and we'll rephrase this again. But I lack a lot of interests outside of work. So, as you can see, there's a chart here that shows 28 years of age up to 65. That's what this chart represents. And then you'll see it's between the green and red. So, if this is you, plug in your age level. And if you say, I lack a lot of interest outside of work, well, if you're starting your career, I have that in kind of a green to greenish yellowish zone. Because I think if you're in your 20s and your 30s and your career is important to you, you may not have as many interests outside of that because you're focused on your career. So your mindset might be, I'm going to forego personal interests. However, as you get older, it becomes more important that you do have interest outside of work because work can be all consuming. And if you get a family, family time must be also part of your overall time management. And so from there, as you get older and you're going to look to exit the workforce, if you're going to go into retirement, it's really, really important that you do have interests outside of work. And that's a concern if you don't. So regardless of where you're at, just know there is always a balance. But as you move further along in your career, emphasize time outside of work. That can be very, very important to a good balance. The second thing is your arrangements. And what I mean by that is, let's look at the statement that I have trouble managing my time. Now, again, if you're early on in your career, I would say everyone, first of all, has to manage their time well. I think it's part of what I do to help people. But if you're early on in your career, sometimes you have the opportunity to be able to learn how to manage your time. And there's some more forgiveness. However, once you get into your career and you're deeply in and you've decided what you want to do, or you're on a career path that you like, it's really important you manage your time, because if you don't, that's really going to affect what happens to your ability to be able to progress in your career. And it becomes less important managing your time as you get to the end of your career, particularly as it relates to that career, because obviously you might be thinking about your personal life more and what that means to you. So think about the arrangements, how you manage your time, and what that means to you in the point you are at in your career right now. Now let's talk about attitude. Attitude in your career is also very important, because when it comes to your career, think about this. Do you lack initiative? I would say early on in your career to well into your career, if you lack initiatives, that really is going to affect your mindset negatively. And so therefore, it's really important that you decide for yourself what's important to you and what is part of your career progression that will continue to give you initiative. If you're in a career or you're in a job right now that you don't like very well, it's very hard to have initiative or to be proactively motivated. And so, but regardless of your situation and where you're at, it's really important for you to carry forward in that you make sure that you have that initiative. Now, when you get towards the tail end of your career, that becomes less important, and particularly when you hit retirement, because your initiative is not to your career, your initiative is to your personal life. Then abilities. Abilities are really important, because as you grow in your career and as you gain additional responsibilities and opportunities, having the right abilities to that is going to be important. So think about it this way. I am not on the right career path and I need to change. If you're early on in your career, again, you have time to figure that out and change if you need to. I'd say if once you're in your 30s and 40s, that comes much harder. It doesn't mean you can't change. It's not impossible. People do it all the time. However, it becomes much more difficult because the abilities that you have now may not be the abilities that you need, and that could take a lot of time and effort to change that. And then obviously, as you get to the end of your career, your abilities are usually fine-tuned and very good at that point. However, you're not really thinking about changing your career path because you're looking to probably end it. So your abilities play an important role in your career mindset. Again, reminder, if you haven't already, download the calculator. You can do it now or you can do it later after this session. So now we've talked about career mindset. We've talked about career pathway. Now let's talk a little bit about questioning your mindset. And that's going to be really important as it relates to how you want to go forward with making any changes. And so I'm going to ask a series of questions that are on the calculator that you can go ahead and follow along if you'd like. So let me shift over here. So let's first of all say and think about, my career is the main way I get self-worth and satisfaction. So think to yourself, my career today is really, really important, and it derives for me a lot of self-worth and satisfaction. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what does that mean to you? Next thing you want to look at is, my career provides me with a principal source of personal fulfillment. And so in life, there's a lot of different things. I've got 2 kids. I'm married. I've had some wonderful examples in my life that have provided me with great personal fulfillment. My career has been one of those, but on a scale of 1 to 10, look at yourself and say, how important is my career to providing me with fulfillment? Because depending on your age, that can have a big impact about what next steps of your life might look like. The next thing to look at is, without a career, I lack aim and direction in life. And I can say for me, that was part of a problem that I had. The career to me was so all-encompassing that personal life suffered as a result, and I would push personal things off to be able to fulfill that aim and direction in life that a career gave me. So again, depending on what age you are at, where you're at in your career, that can have a really important impact on what's happening to your career mindset. I'm going to stop for a second here. Ash, you ask a great question here about what should be your career goal. That's a really tough answer to question, a question to answer, because I really feel there's a lot of factors that define what your career goal should be. And they should tie back to your personal individual goals as well. So I'll first start by saying a career goal is yours. It's personal. Your employer, if you work for an employer, gives you goals. I've been a salesperson for most of my life. I got sales goals that were given to me by my company. So think about your career goal as your own. It's not what you're going to do for your company, in essence. It's what you're going to do for you. So establish that first by saying, what is my purpose in life? If I say, here is what my purpose in life is, then I can decide from there what should be my career goals to fulfill that purpose. So Ash, I'm going to tell you that if you don't have a purpose in life statement or a life purpose statement, do that first, and then you'll understand what your career goals should be after that. And then also, you had mentioned I had very senior corporate positions and then went on to teach 34 management subjects to university students, what should my career plan be now? Wow, that's very diverse. There's a lot that's happened there. I think your career plan now should be, what is it that's going to continue to bring you fulfillment? So you had very senior corporate positions. I'm sure that probably you got a lot of self-worth and satisfaction teaching those university students. Your career plan now, to me, should be define what your mindset is and say, do I want to continue to serve others, like teaching university students? So which one of those gave you the most fulfillment? And I think once you decide what gave you those most fulfillment, then determine your career mindset on what that should be to go forward. Great questions. Thank you for that. All right, so let's look at the next question, or the next statement to review and think about, and that is, my purpose in life is mainly defined by my career. True or false? Scale of 0 to 10. What does that mean to you? And take a look at that and decide to yourself how much of a purpose, as I just had mentioned, Ash, to you, is my life defined by my career? Think about that and see how that plays into your mindset. I had also mentioned this previously. A big aspect and a challenge for people on their career mindset is how well they manage their time, because the career can be the default that sucks people in to their particular focus, and that sometimes is too much on career. So if you have trouble managing your time today, you want to be able to figure that piece out, become more efficient, because then that helps the balance between career and professional life and personal life. And that'll help your career mindset, because you'll know the areas you need to improve or focus on to better benefit your career. Then the next scenario to think about is, my career has a negative impact on my personal life. I have been there. I've been there a few times in my career where my career was definitely negatively impacting my personal life. So you have to decide for yourself, is that a negative impact, and what are you going to do to change that? Do you need to change things at work? Do you need to change what you're doing right now? Do you need to figure out what's going on in your personal life? All of those play into what happens to your career mindset as it relates to its impact on your personal life. Then, now I'm going to switch gears. So if you're 49 and below, I want you to think about one scenario. And if you're 50 or above, I want you to think about another scenario. So if you're following along on the calculator, this is where the questioning changes a little bit. But let's think for a second. So if you're 49 or below, when it comes to your career, do you have initiative? And what I mean by initiative is, does what you do excite you? And do you approach your career proactively and what you do proactively? Or are you reactive? Do you get the Monday blues when you wake up on Monday and say, I really don't want to have to go to work today? Or are you, if you're a 9-to-5er, or if you end your typical work week on a Friday, are you excited because it's Friday, because it's the weekend? How intense are those feelings? If they're really, really intense, like if you are really looking forward to leaving the job at the end of the day and dreading going to work when it begins during the day, you lack initiative. And that has a very, very negative impact on your career mindset. Let's talk about if you're 50 plus. And that's where I lack other interest outside of work. So as you progress further in your career, one of the things you'll know is when you decide to leave your career, whether that's retirement or flexibility, however you want to call that, when that happens, your social interactions go down significantly, because for many of us, half of our social or more of our social interactions come from the job that we go to, whether it's the employees we work with or the clients that we serve. When you leave it, that gets cut in half. And if you don't have interests outside of work leading up to when you leave work, it's going to be a challenge for you when you don't have a career anymore. So you need to think about what are interests I can bring into my life now so that they're there for enrichment later. Now, let's move to another scenario. If you're 49 or less, I feel I am not on the right career path and I need to change. So again, if you're in your 20s, that's much earlier than if you're in your 40s, but that has a huge impact on your mindset. So if you're not happy where you're at and you don't feel my career path's in the right place, that has an impact on your career mindset, has an impact on your productivity, has an impact the way your employer sees you. So in this particular case, what you want to be able to do is to be able to decide the right career path for you, hopefully early enough on. But again, you can make that change at any time in your career. Now, if you're 50 plus, you need to look at things differently and say, I don't have a plan for life when my career ends. If you don't have a plan, or if you're not thinking about the plan for your life when your career ends, I would say either don't end your career yet, find a easier pathway to leave your career, or start developing one now that can change. The idea you want to do, particularly if work brings you a lot of personal satisfaction, is to make sure that that void that's going to be created in that time is fulfilled with meaningful and purposeful things in life. So got to develop a plan. Start now. Don't wait. Again, continuing with other questions or scenarios to look at. If you're less than 49, think about this. It's hard to maintain a strong work ethic. And usually that happens when you're not happy with your career. So take a look at what you do and say, if I can't maintain a strong work ethic, how do I change that? Now, work ethic could be because you don't like your job. Work ethic could be because you've got a lot of personal issues that are challenging to your work ethic. A lot of factors can happen on that. But if you can't maintain a strong work ethic, that impacts your career mindset and impacts your ability to meet career goals. If you're 50 plus, ending your career scare you because you're not sure what to do with life? Again, if it scares you, then think about, maybe I don't retire when I want to retire. Maybe I don't end my career. Maybe I think about doing something else that brings me worth and satisfaction. But it's really important that if you're going to have a career mindset and you decide to leave the workforce, have something else planned so your personal mindset gives you fulfillment and doesn't cause you angst or anxiety. All right. Then let's think of up to age 49. I don't think I can change careers. I'm stuck right where I'm at, or I'm stuck right here. Now, if you're saying that in your 20s, I'm going to tell you, stop. You can change your career. If you're saying that in your 40s, I'm going to say, stop. You can still change your career. It's going to be more difficult to do that, but don't ever feel that you're stuck. If you feel that you're stuck, then you need to make and take steps to change your mindset. And that could be continuing education. That could simply mean stepping out and doing something else different. That can mean stepping down to step forward in a future date. Whatever you feel, do not think that you need to be stuck where you're at. I have felt that way before, and luckily I had other people to coach me through that. So coach yourself through that. Find someone to give you that encouragement. Now, if you're 50 plus, a little bit different on your career mindset is to be able to understand if you're financially ready to leave your job if you want to. It's great to say, you know what, I'm 58 years old. That's how old I am. I'm going to be 59 here this year. I'm 58 years old. I'm done. I want to leave my job. Well, if I can't financially leave my job, that's really affecting my career mindset. So make sure that if you're going to choose to do that, leave, make sure you're financially ready. And if you're not financially ready, then you got to think about what steps in your career, what changes you need to make in your career so you still have a great career mindset. So keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to stop for a second. We have gone through all the questions in the career mindset calculator. And I wanted to, so Ash, so your present problem, I'm sorry I caught this. If you can type in the comments and say, what is your present problem again? I'll be happy to answer that. I saw it pop up and I knew I was going to forget. So if you can go back and do that, that'd be fantastic. And then thank you so much. I appreciate Abahaya, I hope I said that right. Thank you so much for commenting. I really appreciate that. And then Ash, you said, I guess innovation is the answer. You know, that's a great point. Innovation in anything. And so a lot of times people think innovation has to be this huge change in what it is. Innovation can be small, incremental things. And so I think I love that. So as you think about your career mindset, think about the small ways you can innovate yourself to make those changes. So really, I like that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, so let's go back to the career mindset calculator. And if you've done it, so here's a particular example of what that means. So the career mindset calculator, after you answer the questions, depending on your age group, 49 or less or 50 or above, the calculator does and calculates out for you a score, a career mindset score. It simply adds up your totals. Then you're going to plug in your current age as well as the age you want to retire from the workforce. And then that gives you the age remaining in the workforce. What happens is from there, then you get a red, yellow, or green designation that basically gives a quick calculation that says, hey, my career mindset is in red. Now, I don't mean that if your career mindset, if it calculates out that your career mindset is in red, is that you have a negative career mindset. No, that's not what I'm saying. It just means you have some areas of which you can evaluate to do to maybe change your mindset better. If it's yellow, there's some cautious areas. And so you want to go up and you want to look at what are areas that I rated myself 7 or higher, that I answered that scenario 7 or higher. And what do I need to do to look at that to change my particular attitude? And then finally, if you're in the green area, that means you've got a great career mindset for where you're at in your particular life right now. Just know that as you age along in life, that mindset where it's fine now might change later. So keep that in mind, keep that factor as you work forward. So again, if you can, there's the downloading information that you can download this for free, and then you can work through this. So Ash, I see you comment. Let me put that up there again. And you said I've had very senior corporate positions, and then I wanted to teach many subjects at universities. What's next? I'm 60 plus. Well, Ash, first of all, again, sounds like a great, satisfying career. I would recommend this. And if you want, I will message you a link to what I have a tool called the Retirement Time Analysis. That will allow you to figure out, engage, and give you in 6 categories how you think your life is at in retirement. So if you're in your 60s and you're asking what's next, I would say to you is having some activities in a professional nature important to you? And if it is, then I would say you have got people, are companies, particularly nonprofits, are looking for people with your type of experience. And so if income's not a major factor for you, so if you're just looking for fulfillment, I would suggest you move into the areas of nonprofits or smaller companies that probably can't afford your services if you wanted it to provide them to you in the fair market, but it's something that allows you to bring them value, knowing that they probably couldn't afford your services fully, gives you a purpose in life to do, and then allows still for the flexibility in your life if you want to take time off to do different things, to be able to say to them, hey, listen, I'm taking the next 2 weeks off to go on a holiday without anybody freaking out. So you have to define, do you want to engage in some things professionally, but still be able to have flexibility? Let me know if that makes sense to you, if I need to clarify something. But that's a great question. And it's really something that people need to be asking that question, regardless of where they're at in their age or their career is. What's next? That's a great question to ask, and continue to do that. So thank you. I really appreciate that. Um, then, so if you work through the calculator, you can do it now or later. You can do that. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to say, for those of you who've watched with me here today, I offer 2 opportunities that you can direct message me or email me on. One of those is I offer a time optimization workshop. It's a 4-session workshop that helps people who are trying to figure out their productivity and time management. And so I can do anything for anybody who wants that. I can send you that directly. Just let me know. But that's one of the services I offer. And then, Ash, one of the things that you might want to consider is I have a retirement time and lifestyle planning. And some people look at retirement as a dirty word. I kind of just look at it as, what's the next stage in your life? And so there's a whole program that I offer around that for people to be able to unpack and understand a strategy around having meaning and purpose when someone chooses to not have career be the main emphasis, one of the main emphasis in their lives, or it goes away forever, or they decide, I don't want to work anymore. So those are just 2 quick opportunities that I have. Feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to learn more about those. So I do have time for Q&A. Let me show again. Ash, you said, I'm looking at one-on-one sessions with students to home teach leadership lectures. Yeah, that's a great idea. That is a great idea, because that gives you the best of both worlds in what you want to do. Because first of all, you take what you're an expertise at, in that the teaching leadership to students, because you've got a wealth of experience behind that. And then secondly, that affords you the flexibility because you get to set the times that you want to do that. So that doesn't encroach upon any personal aspects that you want to do. So that's great stuff. I wish you the best at that, and to figure that out. You'll have to invest some time to build a system that's right for you, but that's really great. Any other questions that anybody has out there right now? I don't see any additional stuff. I just wanted to thank everybody for participating with me today. I think it's really important that regardless of where you stand in your career, that you have the right mindset. You owe it to yourself first, to your family second, and to your employer third, that through and in and out your career, you have a positive, realistic mindset of what it is you want to accomplish, because then you are going to be the most productive associate or employee, the best balanced in your personal and professional life. And you'll find the opportunities to be able to engage in really enriched and meaningful opportunities. So thank you all. I really appreciate you coming out today and just spending a little time with me today to kind of talk about your career mindset. Really appreciate that. And then thank you. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate your comment there as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend heading into the weekend, and we will talk to you soon.